GETTY, PAThe Scottish Parliament voted to repeal the bill despite Nicola Sturgeon's ministers objecting. Ministers claimed the move was foolhardy, but were outvoted by 62 to 60, with the offensive behaviour at football and threatening communications. Scotland Act due to be wiped from the statute book in April. It is thought to be the first bill to be passed with the sole purpose of repealing an Act of the Scottish Parliament. Mr. Kelly described the Act as the worst piece of legislation in the history of the Scottish Parliament. The Football Act has been a failure, he told MSPs. He added it has not tackled bigotry and had treated football fans as second-class citizens. GETTYCritics said the law was illiberal and treated football fans unfairly. Sectarianism continues to be a problem in Scottish football, but despite this completely unacceptable behaviour, those opposing the Act continue to bury their heads in the sand, asserting that it is better to repeal legislation than either reforming it or annulling. The reality is that the legislation brought forward by the government and passed in Parliament in December 2011 against the will of every opposition party has not worked, he said. The 2012 law was brought in after a spate of incidents of violence and abuse at football matches. It introduced sentences of up to 5 years for sectarian behaviour in or around stadiums, on trains or buses going to grounds, in bars showing live matches, and for internet threats. But it has come under attack for being horribly drafted, with a Dundee sheriff referring to it as mince. Critics also said the courts already had sufficient powers to deal with offensive behaviour. GETTY Labour MSP James Kelly was the man behind the bill. Community Safety Minister Annabel Ewing said the repeal vote was deeply disappointing and worrying, arguing that it would compromise the ability of police and prosecutors to charge people for unacceptable behaviour. She told Holyrood that toxic behaviour was a continuing problem, particularly around football, listing incidents around the recent Edinburgh and Old Firm derbies as examples. Ms. Ewing said, sectarianism continues to be a problem in Scottish football, but despite this completely unacceptable behaviour, those opposing the Act continue to bury their heads in the sand, asserting that it is better to repeal legislation than either reforming it or replacing it. This move sends out an appalling signal, suggests that the law is going to be soft on antisocial conduct by bigots and bullies and will compromise the ability of police and prosecutors to charge people for unacceptable behaviour. Thursday, December 8, 2016. However, MSPs voted down attempts by Ms. Ewing to delay repeal. Mr. Kelly's bill was backed by his own party as well as Tories, Greens, and Lib Dems. Scottish Conservative Justice spokesman Liam Kerr said the crackdown had treated football fans as some sort of homogeneous, malevolent, ignorant entity. He added, "We have an Act that has added nothing to the legislative landscape, has not achieved what it intended, and has actually been counterproductive, redirecting, camouflaging, but not stopping offensive behaviours and prejudices." Liam MacArthur, for the Lib Dems, branded ineffective, counterproductive and illiberal, warning it had done more harm than good.